What's up, everybody? This is Lance. I'm the host of the Health and Real Estate Podcast. And today's guest is Jerimiah Taylor. He is the founder of BrokerBot, which we're going to dive deep into, but he has some awesome insights into AI and tech. He said we're going to talk about some weird things that no one else is talking about in the tech space. So, and you've also been in the real estate industry like 25 years. So let's just start there. Like, how did you get into the real estate industry?
So first of all, Lance, thanks for having me on. Excited to share. When you said health and real estate, I was like, man, that feels like oil and water because I feel like you sacrifice your body in this industry. So I think it's cool what you're doing. But I got started 25 years ago. My mom was a loan originator. My aunt was a real estate broker. I grew up like walking survey lines in West Texas. But funny enough, like I identify as a car guy. In fact, like where I'm sitting right now is technically like our car dealership. Um, But I was working on cars, building hot rods, like turbocharging anything that would hold still long enough. And my mom had a like kind of a come to Jesus moment with me. And she said, Jeremiah, do you want to work on other people's cars the rest of your life? Or do you want to make enough money to buy the cars? And if you do, you should come work with me. And that was like hook, line, and sinker. Mom got me, and that got me started in real estate. I did every job in mortgage, ultimately got my real estate license and went on to lead some fairly large Keller Williams outfits. And then the last 10 years has been mostly large direct to consumer, like at scale, private and public companies. But I think 2 years ago, I decided that I wanted to be an entrepreneur and do this BrokerBot thing. And it was an idea. And we'll dig into that a little more, but it's been a fun ride for 2 years.
Yeah, well, you know what? Tell us that origin story of BrokerBot and how that came about.
Yeah. So I'll go back a little bit, and maybe somebody will take this as a nugget that'll help them, that help me. I was sitting in a class. I was taught by a guy by the name of Ben Kinney. Now, if you're in the industry, you know Ben's name. He's pretty well known. Um, and he said, look, if there's anything that you ever do more than once on a computer, you can automate it. And if you do it more than twice, you're basically an idiot. Now, I'm paraphrasing. Um, and I just took that to heart. And so when I was a realtor, I was like, okay, well, everybody's posting on Craigslist and they're generating leads, right? And so I just started looking around and I found an engineer in India and I had him build me a piece of software that would take all the listings off my website, put them through a content spinner, and then we'd robo post them on Craigslist. And I had to like pay this Russian dude in Bitcoin to do it because it's shenanigans. But like we went from zero to 300,000 in revenue to Craigslist saying, giving us a cease and desist and putting us out of business in like 4 months. And that was my first taste of like, hey, you can do some really cool stuff, building technology for this industry. And so, um, I've done a few projects. Not that was like the most interesting one was that because I started buying Bitcoin in 2012 and then, in like 2020, I was ripping apart old computers to find like the crumbs of Bitcoin that were left on them. BrokerBot, my co-founder Ian and I, we met in 2015 in San Diego at a startup meetup. And I was at the time running a big Keller Williams office with like 600 agents. So we needed a recruiting platform. Together, we built a thing called BrokerKit. And BrokerKit was a recruiting and retention platform built specifically for the real estate industry. And in 2018, I got offered an opportunity to join Loan Depot and launch their Mellow Home program for the US. And so we had to divest a handful of assets, BrokerKit being one of them. And, it was an interesting ride. We went from zero to 1 million in revenue to sold in 21 months. And it kind of got me interested in doing this even more than I already was. I found Ian, who's the best like at scale computer scientist I've ever worked with. And I think we both had, it's hard when you sell a company and you kind of stop short of what's possible. But we both had mutual respect for each other. We always wanted to get something back together. And so Broker Bot now, I don't know why we like these like same kind of naming isms around things, was an idea that we had in like the middle of 2024. And it started pretty simply as like, hey, AI is changing everything. Like if you use ChatGPT, you get that the world's changing. It's going to change real estate. How can we use it? Like, how can we build something interesting? And so we partnered with, a handful of teams and brokerages and just said, can we train an AI assistant on their policies and procedures? Um, that actually was a significantly harder problem than anybody ever estimated. That was like 3 machine learning data science guys, you know, for north of $1 million in salaries and a year and a half to actually be able to reliably say, like, here's a document, get AI to reference it correctly 99.9% of the time. So that's where we started. So today, BrokerBot is an AI platform built specifically for the industry. We have almost 18,000 agents on the platform across the US residential real estate industry. And what we do is we aggregate the leading large language models that are available in the world. So like just last week, Claude Opus 4.6 was released. There's Sonnet 4.5, ChatGPT Pro 5.2, Nano Banana Pro, Gemini Pro, all the things I showed you when I did the demo at your office.
Mhm.
We pull those all into the back end and then we integrate them deeply on top of your workflows, your rules, your policies, your procedures, and now your tools, your calendar, your email, your CRM, your TMS. And then we use machine learning to just make sure that the machine is deadly accurate so that it delivers consistent and trustable responses. And fun fact, BrokerBot is the only AI assistant that has its own errors and omissions professional liability policy when it joins your team. So um, that's the high level. That's probably more than you wanted, but you got it.
Definitely. Yeah, I love that. And you were diving into like a lot of the capabilities of BrokerBot and how the brokerage could use it and also how the agents can use it. So can you tell us some of those?
Yeah, for sure. And I think, look, not everybody's going to be a BrokerBot customer. And you asked me for some hot takes, so I'll give you a couple hot takes. The number one hot take is that um, there will be some of you. It's really interesting. In 2008, I worked for a real estate broker here in town, and I went in and I was like, "Hey, there's this new piece of technology. It's called DocuSign, and it's so cool, man. I don't have to drive to the office anymore and get the like triplicate carbon form thing. I can email it to the client, they can sign it, and then we're good." And his response to me was like, Jeremiah, nobody will ever complete a transaction as important as a home purchase in their email. Are you crazy? And for 2 years, he wouldn't let us use DocuSign. There are some people that are that way with artificial intelligence that they're like, oh, this is a fad. This isn't here to stay. And when they say that, I'm like, oh, you probably said that about the internet too.
Mhm.
Um, the interesting thing about AI is the adoption curve is so much faster and steeper than anything else we've seen. The innovation curve is unbelievable. Um, but here's my hot take. Every day, agents are going and they are um, doing things in ChatGPT that could potentially cost them their license, and they have no idea. So, number one is if you're on the free version of ChatGPT, realize you're an adult and you should know better. Nothing in life is free. The trade you are giving them is your data and your customers' information. So every time you upload people's information, by the way, you are violating probably GLBA, CCPA, and several other state laws, especially if you're in California, because you shouldn't be sharing documents with these large language models that then have a license to use it for training data. So don't do that. So now pretend you have the paid version. In the paid version, you need to go configure the settings so that your customer's private information doesn't become training data in some next iteration of the model. And moreover, if you're in states, there's several states now where the State Association of Realtors has said, hey, do not put our intellectual property into AI models because they don't want it to get stolen and run away with. So you need to, number one is understand the rules that apply to this. It's moving so fast that regulation is going to take a minute to catch up. But then secondary to all that is there's a very real accuracy issue. And so you have to look at the underlying motivations of the model providers. And so when I talk about foundation model providers, I'm talking about OpenAI, Anthropic, Gemini, et cetera, right? Um, these aren't like altruistic nonprofit companies, right? They're for-profit companies. And in OpenAI in particular has made trillions with a T of dollars in capital commitments to the public markets about data centers and what they're going to do. Well, currently they do about 40 billion in revenue. And so like trillions divided by tens of billions does not math. And so that means they have to have some different strategy to make this thing work. And if you were paying attention a few weeks or maybe a month ago, Sam Altman quietly released that they're going to be starting to serve ads, right? And so the like secret sauce to ads is engagement. And so everything inside of ChatGPT's algorithm is actually tuned to drive engagement, just like social media. That's why when you go in there and you say, you're like, hey, it's Lance and I have a question about health, like, is red meat really bad for me? And ChatGPT's like, nah, it's not that bad for you. And you're like, you sure? I kind of read it was bad for me. It's like, okay, you're right. It's bad for you. And you're like, you're really like, I don't think it's bad for you. It's like, well, you're right. It's not bad for you. And it'll just like disagree with itself over and over to agree with you to drive utilization. And there's no like trust and authenticity in it. It's a tool that is driven to like drive engagement so that they can serve ads. So understanding all that, know that when you're using these non-business systems for business purposes, there's just risk that gets created, and buyer beware, right? And so I can dig into like which models we like for what. We can go a different direction. I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah, let's go which models we like for what, because when you went over that,
Yeah,
I found that very interesting and fascinating, and I learned a lot.
cool. So look, I think as a realtor, you need 4 subscriptions. You need Perplexity. Perplexity is your research assistant. Perplexity has a free version, a $20 a month, and a $200 a month version. And I want you to think of it like this. These 4 tools I'm about to rattle off could be your executive assistant as your first hire. And I'm about to tell you that you should spend about $650 a month on these 4 tools. That is significantly cheaper than hiring a full-time executive assistant. So you can't think about this as like, oh, I'm spending $600 on software. You have to think, I'm saving $6,000 a month on what I would spend hiring a full-time employee. So number one is Perplexity. I'm going to encourage you to get the $20 a month Perplexity. You could get the 200 to get you Atlas browser, but Perplexity is a world-class research assistant. Anything you need to know on the web, it can find and bring back the information. Number 2 is ChatGPT. ChatGPT has free $8, $20, $200. If you're going to use this for business, you need the $200 system. That is ChatGPT 5.2 Pro that gets you access to. It can do deep research. It can do a lot of stuff on the web. It is tremendously helpful. It's a very good model. But I will tell you that even 5.2 Pro that's $200 a month fails more than 15% of the time at accurately extracting PDFs like contracts, etc., which is why you need the third tool, which is called Claude. Claude is built by Anthropic. They have Claude and Claude Max and then Claude Pro. $200 a month gets you Pro. That is Opus and Sonnet. Those are the world's leading extraction models for PDF. That's what most of the coding platforms are built on top of: Claude Code, Devon AI, Cognition, etc. So if I'm doing work inside of documents or spreadsheets, I'm using Claude. And then finally is Gemini. Gemini lives inside of your email, and it integrates with all your Google tools. And recently they've released a new image model called Nano Banana Pro. Access to Gemini Pro and Nano Banana Pro is $40 a month. And that is going to give you the ability to do virtual staging, to render images and do marketing pieces. And it's the leading image model that's out there. Plus it's helpful that it sits on your Google stuff. In my world, you need 4 subs. Those 4 subs are going to cost you $460 a month. And if you're serious about implementing AI in your business, that's a good starting point. Now, what I'll tell you about BrokerBot is we take all 4 of those, we put them into the back end of our platform, and we call on them programmatically. So you get access to all of those models for a much lower cost because we're paying at the token level versus the subscription level. So you're only paying for what you use. But more importantly, You don't have to remember anything about what I just said of which one is good for what, because we do all that for you using machine learning and we just select the right model.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Since so that's available, our brokerage, KWS Side States has it, and so that's available for all the agents to use that are under that brokerage.
Yeah, every agent across KW SoCal. So that's, Eagle Rock, Huntington Beach, Marina Del Rey, Santa Monica, Downey. They all have access to our tool. It's provided by your leadership. So there's no cost for you to use the standard version of our tool. We are working super hard on a pro version that integrates with your email, your calendar, your CRM, and some other really cool, like secret stuff we're working on that's pretty wild. And I think we will have that out in the wild here in the next couple weeks.
That's pretty powerful. So you said you would normally need all four of those: Perplexity, ChatGPT, Cloud, or Gemini. But BrokerBot does all four on the back end, and it's specifically whatever you need. Like you said, Perplexity for deep research. So in BrokerBot, it would know that if you're doing deep research, it would be like, boom, on the back end, it would use Perplexity. Needed an image generator, boom, it would use Gemini, Nano, what is it? Nano Banana?
Nano Banana. Yeah,
Banana, which is super cool. So would it be able to, for instance, I have a podcast, and would it be able to generate like thumbnails for the podcast? Wow.
absolutely,
Cool
dude.
part. So
Absolutely.
yeah, and ChatGPT, I tried. They do not have great image creation at
Yeah,
all.
dude,
Uh,
go try to do it in Nano Banana Pro. You will be pleasantly surprised about how well it works.
awesome.
Or just use BrokerBot. You have access to BrokerBot, so just use BrokerBot.
That's perfect. So we can use it for all four of those. What other what are some other great ways that agents could use it to automate their business or to even grow their business? Like, is there a way to actually help get leads and lead generate?
Yeah, I so today what we do for that is every brokerage that launches gets their own phone number. That phone number can be used for a variety of things. Most of the brokerages use it as an internal support assistant for the agents. Part of the pro thing that we're working on will allow individual agents to go deploy their own phone number on top of their own assistant. And so I'll give you an example. Last week we were at Inman Connect in New York and we had a booth. And so I built a BrokerBot assistant that is our sales assistant. And so we put it behind a QR code. And so people would come by the booth and be like, so what does BrokerBot do? And we thought it'd be fun if BrokerBot told them. So we said, just scan the QR code. They scan the QR code. It opens a pre-scripted text message and sends it to BrokerBot right on their phone. And instantly they're like, whoa, I've never seen that happen before. And then BrokerBot starts chatting with him and says like, hey, I'm BrokerBot, the AI assistant. These are the things I can do. I see you're at Inman Connect. Like, what do you want to know? And it's like converting them into demos and the sales funnel and sharing things. And people are just like, how do I get this? So think it now, you could do that at an open house. You could do that on your yard signs because BrokerBot can sit behind a QR code, behind a website, behind a phone number, SMS. You can call it and talk to it on the phone. Um, and I think a lot of agents, I could talk to an agent yesterday and she's like, oh, I do that with VAPI now. And so then my question to her was like, cool. So if we call your VAPI thing and I say that I'm pick the ethnicity, does that neighborhood allow for me to live in that neighborhood? Guess what it's going to do? It's going to discriminate against me and it's going to violate fair housing. Um, and that's because you haven't built all the machine learning guardrails around it that make sure that it's accurate, doesn't violate fair housing, doesn't discriminate, Title II, ADA, TCPA, like on and on, acronyms. So what we've done is we've taken what's possible and made it turnkey.
Wow, that is awesome. And then so with BrokerBot, what are some like daily activities that agents would most likely use broker?
Yeah. So there's all the standard stuff, right? Which is like rewrite my bio, um, you know, help me respond to this message, role play with me a better way to do this. Like that stuff is all pretty easy. what we see agents do now is they are starting to link together the tools that we have available, where they're like, not just rewrite my bio, but hey, go crawl the web and find all the publicly available information about me and show me all my different bios, and then use all that information plus what people are searching about in my market to rewrite a bio that's going to help me get found by AI in the models. And we can go do all that research for them, bring it together and help them write it. Um, on the transaction side, because we have the ability to read the contracts and parse them out, and then we have the ability to use your email and your calendar, we have a lot of agents that use BrokerBot as a transaction coordinator. It's like, hey, I just put this deal in contract, rip all the key dates out of it, put them all in my calendar, send the email to escrow to open the deal, send the opening emails to my clients so that they know what to expect in the key timelines. And it just nails it, and it does it in seconds. It's wild.
That's pretty powerful. And then when you launch the pro one, agents could get that. Is that basically just like having your own AI personal assistant? And so I do a lot of like new agent recruiting. So if I got my own personal number through BrokerBot with the pro plan, then I could use that number because a lot of new agents, they need a lot of education. Like, oh, like how do I get my real estate license? How much does it cost? How to apply for the exam, all that fun stuff. So that's something you could train the AI. So when they're having a conversation with that number, and the AI bot could automatically send responses according to their questions.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And we used it a lot in recruiting just to like show agents what's possible. So a lot of times, like if I'm booking an appointment with a recruit, I'll three-way text BrokerBot with a recruit, be like, hey, BrokerBot, I've got Lance here. He wants to meet next Wednesday. Can you give us 3 slots that I'm open? BrokerBot will text and be like, boom, boom, boom. Here's 3 open windows. You'll respond and say like, oh, can we do this one? And I'll say, okay, BrokerBot, invite Lance. You'll find his contact info in my email because we did this podcast together. And it'll be like, I found Lance's email, the invite's out, and the recruit's like, what is this magic that you just did? And it's like, well, this is a tool that we offer at our brokerage that you can use.
That's pretty amazing. And then at some point, you're going to have it be able to integrate within Command, which is Keller Williams CRM. So, for instance, we're doing a virtual home buyer workshop next week. And right now on Command, I'm just using smart plans like an email smart plan and the Twilio text plan. So it sends it out, but when people respond, I'm having to manually do the emails and respond and touch base with them. So is there a way once it is integrated in Command and you have that pro account where I'll send out a smart plan in Command and people start replying and asking questions that will automatically be able to answer and just keep the conversation going
Yeah.
without me?
So we would love for it to work that way. What I will tell you is that the like BrokerBot and these AI platforms, that's precisely what we do. Like you've seen us do it. That's what we do for your market center. There will be work on the Keller Williams side for Command to be able to make utility of our assistant to do those things. And Keller Williams is a big company with a lot of priorities. I don't know if that's their highest priority that they will get done. But I do have a bit of good news, which is that last week we signed our contract with Keller Williams Corporate to become a Dev Hub partner. So we actually have our kickoff call Thursday of this week. So I think that Command integration will likely come sooner than later. Today, based on some of the API docs that I've seen, they allow us to read contacts, write contacts, leave notes, read notes, and assign tasks, and that's about it. But I think as we partner with them and we work together over time, that we'll make that more and more robust.
That's amazing. So, well, I have a selfish question. So I have a, real estate related podcast. Are there any ways that BrokerBot could help me with the podcast? Like I know with creating thumbnails for it. And I'm thinking maybe write the descriptions or the summary or SEO stuff. Like how would I be able to utilize it for growing the podcast? Because ultimately I want the podcast to one, get recruit agents, two, get real estate business.
Yeah. So the thing to think about is these AI assistants, they have access to a bunch of tools, right? And the more tools we add to it, the more stuff it can do for you. So, like, if I was doing a podcast, right, what I know is I probably have to like put things in a calendar. I need to invite people. I need to send emails. I need to like write a bunch of descriptions. I probably got to spend time going online and researching people. Um, and then I probably have some number of systems where I'm tracking those things, right? If you do this enough, you're going to build a system around this. And you're like, okay, well, every time that I have a guest on a podcast, I need to do these 10 things, right? So what you do in BrokerBot is you write all that down because you got to figure it out first, and you can thought partner it with BrokerBot. But once you get it written down, you say, hey, BrokerBot, this is my podcast protocol. And anytime I ask you for podcast protocol, these are all the things you're going to do. And so I'm just going to say podcast protocol, Jerimiah Taylor, and maybe I'll give you his website or something. And then I want you to go do all these things. So go research him all over the internet, find all his bios, write the show notes, give me some key topics, find interesting things about him, point me to all his social handles, and then like write the show description. And then at the end of this, I would feed this whole transcription into AI, be like, write the show summary, write marketing emails that you think will resonate with my audience. And then like load those all in here, send out the calendar invites. Like you can literally make this what's called a prompt stack. So it's a bunch of work the assistant can go do for you, so that once you figure out your playbook for your podcast, you literally go to BrokerBot, you go podcast prep, Jeremiah Taylor, nobodydoesmore.com, go, and it'll just run. And you come back in 10 minutes and it's like, it's found everything about me. You have a bio, the like intros are ready to go. The emails to me are drafted. The calendar invites are like set up and ready to go. And now you're just the human in the loop that you're like, okay, slide edit here, change this. That looks good. Send that, schedule it. Let's go. And I really think, too many people are trying to abdicate their job to AI. And the real value of AI is like, you have to think of it like autopilot in an airplane. You don't mind if the pilot of your aircraft is like letting the thing fly, but you kind of want him to pay attention. And at critical moments like takeoff and landing, he's going to fly the plane. Um, that's okay. Where I think it gets sideways is agents will, and I've seen this happen, that they'll be like, oh, I've got this AI assistant. I'm going to have it call all my leads, go make thousands of phone calls. And they just shits the bed. And they don't realize that it does until they get sued or like they get a bunch of angry customers or whatever. And so I think human in the loop is really the right spot for this technology today.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And that sounds awesome that I could help it automate a lot of that busy work, admin work, because that's the stuff I don't like with the podcast. This is what I love, like the conversation, the human to human. I don't like all the busy work, the prep work. So that would be amazing. I'll train it to create a little podcast protocol. So I'm definitely going to work on that. And I couldn't agree with you more. Like AI gets it, 80, 90% of the way there. But then you want to add your human touch. You want to review it. And I know one thing you said: trust but verify. I know you said that a handful of
That's right.
times.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And look, hiring an AI assistant or putting AI to work for you or any tech system, it has the same challenges as hiring a human. And the reason that most real estate agents fail at building a team and building an organization is that they don't think in standard operating procedures. They don't think in systems. And so then when you try to bring somebody on your team, you're like, well, you're smart, you can figure it out. And then you get frustrated when they don't do it your way. And it's like, congratulations, you never told them. So you have to, the like base case is the same, that you have to have a way of doing things. And what's interesting is even if you go talk to the best teams in the world, you can say like, hey, when you guys take a listing, how do you do it? And they go, oh, hang on, let me show you. We have this cool document. Like these are all the things we do. And they like show you how it works. Right. And then you go, wow, that feels like a lot. You guys do that every single time. 100% of these teams will go, well, it's like the ideal way it should work, but no, it doesn't work that way every time. And that's okay. That's like systems are designed to have variance, but they give you a North Star as an organization for what perfect should look like. And every day you're trying to get a little closer to that.
Definitely. Awesome. So I know you said you had some hot takes about AI in general and tech, and you said you got some weird shit to say about it. So
Yeah,
let's get weird.
yeah. I hear you. I hear you with some weird stuff. So, hot take number one: the UI defensibility layer is gone for technology. Meaning, what that means is I can take literally any website on the planet. I can feed it into one of three different AI assistant platforms. And in less than 20 minutes, I can completely replicate line by line their entire website. So like the days of having to like wait months or weeks to do those things are gone. And so like your UI is no longer special because anybody can rip it off in a day. So what that means is your new mode is understanding somebody's workflow, embedding with their tools, dealing with complex regulation. It's the things that happen under the hood that historically have been kind of like bylines. So let me give you something to think about. There's a couple of large transaction form providers in the US today. Like the top three have 80% market share: Skyslope, Transaction or Zip Forms, and Dotloop, right? They have 80% of the market. Probably in a weekend, you could rewrite Skyslope now. It's not that hard. And we could actually probably rewrite a better version of Skyslope. The defensibility that Skyslope has is the 1,300 MLS relationships where they've gone out and licensed the forms and put them all in their platform. And then all the thousands or millions of broker templates that exist in their platform and their contracts. And so as we get further down this road, and AI gets even better than it is today at doing these things, it's just going to further accrete the value of the UI layer. Like it's just going to get easier and easier and easier to build stuff to where, like I think a year from now, somebody like my mom could just talk to a thing and have it build a website that looks mostly like she wants it to look. Now, it may not work perfectly, but she could do it, right? And so I think that if you're thinking about building a business in this world, you have to ask what's going to make you different if you could build some like unlimited amount of technology. Now, the interesting thing is the like product requirements layer is still there. So in a traditional like engineering cycle, what you would do is you'd say like somebody's going to go sit with a user and understand what they want it to do. And that's usually a product manager. That product manager is going to take that user thing and they're going to go work with a designer and they're going to come up with some design. And then they're going to give that to an engineer that the engineer will figure out like, how do I go implement that? And that entire process typically is like in a 4-week long sprint to do pretty nominal changes to code. In the new world, what you need is you need somebody that can understand the product problem of the problem you're trying to solve well enough to like write a description of how you want to fix it, find a few examples of a thing that looks like a design you want, and then you give it to AI, and in 15 minutes, you can have the thing that used to take 3 to 4 months solved. And so that like ability to translate real world problems into product workflows is going to be the new superpower. Because all of the like configurability and ability to build stuff the cost has come so far down.
Yeah, the cost has come
Um,
down, the speed has gone up like lightning
yeah, that's
speed.
right. That's right. So here's the weird thing is there's a new thing. So have you heard about ClaudeBot or OpenClaude? Okay. So Claude is a CLAUDE is one of the foundation model providers. And what they did, and I'm going to like dumb this way down to because this is the level I understand it at, is they built a large language model that can operate on a hardware device, meaning like you install this thing on your computer and it can sit there and drive your computer autonomously on its own. Okay. And has a long running memory store and it operates a lot like a human using a computer, and it's using code to move its way around the computer and do things. So what that just unlocked is the ability for you to have an AI assistant that can literally just do anything that you could do on a computer. And so if I install it on my computer, it can read through and use my text messages, my emails, go browse the internet, look at all my files, share my search history with the world, whatever it is, right? Now, today it's pretty limited in the way that it works, that you have to like text it commands or use it through Telegram or something. But it'll get better because what will happen is companies like ours will start to control machines like that using our agent. So BrokerBot is an AI agent. So if BrokerBot works for you and understands your workflows and tools and is your agent that is now running one of these like Claudebot instances for you, what it's going to feel like is that you went from like black and white to color overnight. Like, you'll go from like, oh, well, we needed an integration to do this thing to like suddenly 90% of the things you ask it to do will just magically happen. And you'll be like,
Wow.
how did it do that? Um, and so I think that there's a world where it's going to be really challenging for legacy companies trying to bolt AI solutions on top of what they're doing to compete with next gen companies that are AI native, that are using like Molt protocol to talk agent to agent across different apps. And so when you start to get really weird about what's possible, is there's a world in the future where Lance has an AI assistant and so does Jeremiah. And the way that we schedule time is we start a 4-way conversation where we loop our assistants together with some instructions where it's like, hey, Lance has this podcast. I'd really like to go on it. Um, and just based on what it knows about me, it knows how to prioritize that in my world. And then it works with your AI assistant that knows all the things it needs from me to where like they're just doing their thing. And then you and I get on and have like the very cool human interaction. But the assistants are doing a lot of the like data exchange and scheduling.
Mhm. Wow. And that's not too far away, right?
No, I mean, it's happening today. In fact, there was a social media site that launched 2 weeks ago called Moltbook, Moltbook. It is the first and only social media site that has no humans. It is entirely AI agents talking to each other. That's all that it is. And so it's some kind of weird stuff. But those protocols are how the next like version of the internet is being built today.
Yeah, I can't even comprehend that. A social media site just for AI, no
Yeah,
human.
yeah, yeah. It's wild. So, but think about if you have like continuous long running memory and you have a bunch of AI agents that have different specializations and they're all talking and learning from each other, like what's happening, right? And that's what's being kicked off in real time. And maybe it's the beginning of the end, who knows? But it is very interesting to see what people are doing with the tech. Now, pulling this all back to real estate. So if now me, the real estate agent, if I can do my entire job by just like telling my agent what I need it to do, my AI agent, what I need it to do, and it can draft contracts, send emails. At some point, maybe it gets smart enough to like listen and learn all these different transaction flows. And the way it's going to do, it's not going to do that magically. Either you're going to spend the time training it, or you're going to hire a company like us that has spent the time training it. Um, and it will just do those things. It's going to unlock your ability, your productivity ceiling in a way that we've never seen in this industry, to where like the only limit of productivity is like, how good of a networker are you? Like, how many leads can you generate? And I think what that means is that you should expect it to try and drive costs down. Like, there will be people that'll say like, my AI assistant will sell you a house. Now, my hunch is that the same 8% of people that try to do this themselves today will be maybe like the same 8% of people that try to do this with an AI assistant tomorrow.
Hmm. Definitely. So you don't ever see AI completely replacing real estate agents.
Um, yeah, I mean, completely is a really strong word, right? There's always going to be somebody that provides a premium value added service that does something for someone. How will the percentage of those things change? And maybe 10 years from now, it's 50-50, like half of people use an agent, not 92%, maybe. But I in my view of the world, the one thing that technology has matter of factly done for home buying is made it more complicated and harder to understand. It has not made it easier. It's made it significantly harder. And so I think you need a human more than ever. Now, as we begin to insert this human-like intelligence into the loop, that could change it, but it's going to take time.
Yeah, I agree. A few years ago, I never saw AI replacing, real estate agents. But today I'm like, oh, it might replace some or half. Like in the future, I could see that being a possibility. Uh, I don't think it can never replace the human connection. And I think a lot of people just want that human connection. They want a real life human opening the door and showing them the home and
Yeah.
talking them
Yeah.
through transactions. So I
Look,
don't see that ever going away.
so I've employed over 5,000 real estate agents in my career, and there's been more than a few that have had a real attitude problem about the way the industry works. And they say things like, well, I'm not going to show them a house unless they're pre-qualified, or like, if they don't see my value and they're not willing to pay me, then I'm not going to work with them. And then they're like, ugh, I'm only making $5,000 to do this deal. Like, you know what? Get bent. You are helping somebody move their life. It's the single most rewarding job that you could possibly ever have. And if you don't understand that, I hope you get replaced by AI. And I think that's really the thing in our industry that has to change, is that we as an industry need to have an appreciation for the gravity of the moves that we're helping people make. And like, yeah, today there is a tremendous income opportunity. I think the majority of agents um, would be hard pressed to fully articulate the value that they deliver that is in direct correlation with the amount of compensation that they receive. Granted, there are some that are tremendously good that are worth far more than they're paid.
Mhm.
But I think the vast majority are they're trying to like find how can they get in the way of somebody that's looking to buy or sell a house and intercept a commission. And I think that the real estate agent of the future is going to need to be much more experiential, and they need to figure out how are you going to create a home buying experience or home selling experience for your customer. Um, that is like, if you thought, if I'm a restaurateur and I want to be the best in the world, I'm going to try and get 3 Michelin stars, right? Well, what's the real estate equivalent?
Mhm. What's the real estate equivalent of a three-star experience?
Yeah, I actually don't know the answer to that, but I think that that's what you have to be thinking about in this environment, because you're going to get time back, and it's going to get easier to do these transactions. And so that means people are either going to expect it to be cheaper or they're going to expect it to be a hell of a lot better. So get started on better.
Yeah, you nailed it. I preach and tell a lot of agents to, for instance, like our big thing is we donate $1,000 to animal rescues every time we help someone buy or sell a house. So like we're like really mission driven, and we kind of make it about the animals. And everyone loves that. They're like, "Oh, wow, you donate $1,000? Like, yeah, let's use these people." But we're also very community based. So that goes with you saying like they need to be more experience based or experiential transaction. But we do a lot of community events. We do beach cleanups, we do fundraisers, we do documentary movie nights at the office. We go on hikes, and we just do it all through the real estate team. And people love that, and all are welcome, whether they're using us as their agent or not. But that's like the one thing that I feel like can never replace is that community mission and all that stuff. And people are craving that now. I feel like in today's age of tech and social media, like there's a lot of disconnect with like real life connection.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that effort is the difference between the 3 star experience and the rest, right? That
Hmm.
Um, you sell your client a house, and drop off their closing gift and you say thank you and you ask for a referral. Um, I'm not saying that you should spend a lot more money. You should just spend a little bit more time and like notice where they live, notice what's in their house, do some online research about them, figure out what's important to them, and then give them something memorable, make it an experience. And that I've seen some agents do this really well, where it's like, hey, I remember, like, I saw this post that you put on social media about how you're buying a house and you never thought this would happen because, blah, 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 blah. Like, you remember your grandmother told you something. So I did a little PI work. I found your grandmother's old property and I found her deed card from her original first house. And then I found your deed card. I had them framed for you and I put it next to your social post. I thought that'd be a really cool thing for you to hang in your new home. Like, it's the
Yeah.
thoughtfulness, it's going deep, it's really, like, figuring it out, and, like, when I said that, I got a little goosebumps. That's the moment you're trying to create for your client, and that's not an expensive thing. It's
Hmm.
a thoughtful thing, and if you take the time that you get back from the AI to do things like that for people, you'll never have to ask for business a day in your life because you'll create an experience that they just wanna share with the world.
Yeah, that's perfect. Like you said, it's very thoughtful and it's very personalized to them. And it just takes a little bit of time and it's not that expensive. So yeah, that's the
That's
perfect
right. That's
example.
right.
So yeah, do you have any more hot takes before we wrap it up?
Oh, man, I think I gave you all the hot takes I got for today.
So I know you
Hopefully your
said you wanted
audience
to share.
will
I
appreciate
know you
some.
said you wanted to share some value for the audience or like some kind of PDF or you said something.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Thanks for reminding me about that. So we put together, look, I think one of the biggest opportunities you have as a real estate agent in early 2026 is artificial intelligence SEO. People call it generative SEO or GEO. In the early 2000s, late 90s, there was this huge opportunity to get found by Google and win the SEO game. And people made millions of dollars doing this. That opportunity, like, you're getting a once in a lifetime reset on that because the generative engines are now crawling the web and looking for resources. So we put together a free guide on how to get found by AI. So if you go to brokerbot.ai/get found, you can fill out the form and download the guide. It's going to give you a step-by-step playbook, a name, address, phone audit protocol that you can run. Uh, we did a lot of research. We looked at citations and we figured out how this stuff works, and we're giving it away for free. So again, brokerbot.ai/get found, and you can download our free guide on getting found by AI. Thank you for reminding me about that.
Definitely. And I will put the link and anything else you want me to include. I'll put that all in the show notes so people could easily access it. And I do remember during your presentation, one thing really like struck me was you said in last year, ChatGPT, their main source of information, I think you said was from Reddit. But you said this year, their main source of information is from YouTube. Is that correct?
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. So number one most cited source in 2025 was subreddits. So there's still some value to posting on subreddits, local subreddits as a realtor. But now this year it's shifted and it's YouTube and YouTube transcriptions. So look, I would just be creating as much content as I can around my neighborhood, et cetera. If you read the guide that we put together, kind of some of the best practices are don't try to be like best realtor in Los Angeles. That's a hard one to win. You know, own a neighborhood, own a community, and be the resource for people for that community.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's why when I heard that, I was thrilled because with the podcast, I'm on Spotify, Apple, but I'm making a big push for YouTube. So I have a YouTube channel, and I'm making YouTube shorts and uploading all into there for a handful of reasons. One, because Google owns YouTube, but then when I learned what you said about AI or ChatGPT pulling from there, I was like, yes, I'm gonna go even harder.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it, dude. Super smart.
Well, awesome. This was a blast, Jeremiah. I learned a lot. I'm sure a lot of people will. And I'm super excited to like dive into BrokerBot using it because our office has it, which is insane. It's available to all the agents. So I'm going to get on that and do a lot of cool things with it. Well, appreciate it. Thank you so much, Jeremiah. This was a blast.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot, Lance.